On today's episode, Dave Bautista is on his way to merry old London, England to see a football match. In it, bruv, and he is none too happy about it. It's Final Score, today on Nothing Movies. Hello, however you wish to self-identify, and welcome back to Nothing Movies, where we ask the question, the fuck is this? It's the podcast where we pick an actor and we run down their filmography and choose one of the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made and decide whether or not they've got a certain something or if they're just a whole lot of nothing. I am extremely hungover.
You're doing great, Cass.
And I'm Jameson.
Are we pulling the dad joke? Is that happening?
That's what
Hi,
we're pulling
hungover.
it.
Oh, God.
I've been hanging on to that one since this morning.
Mm.
Whew, boy. With the dynamic of this podcast has changed significantly, because I used to be the sober one, and now I have fully regressed.
Well, I mean, you were drunk last night at a friend of the show, Hannah Snyder's party, but you were a delight to witness. You were dancing. You were dancing at one point. You were going into like the reasoning of the director of Human Centipede.
None of this.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of this. This is all completely blank. I don't even remember how I got home. I was telling you, apparently I phoned a cab, which is amazing that I was able to do that.
You were pointing at me a lot whenever you spoke. At one point, Hannah busted out her guitar and serenaded you with a song, and you looked like you were about to cry.
Wow.
It was wonderful.
Well,
I'm really excited for all of the parasocial relationships that are going to come from the audience who's listening to this, really bonding with you as human beings.
That's what they tune in for.
Yeah.
the developing relationship that we have.
It is the first time I have gotten drunk in a very long time, and it likely will be the last time that I get drunk for some significant moment, because I've truly never felt sicker. This is the most sick I have ever recorded one of these episodes, and this episode is, of course, WrestleMania.
Yeah.
We are back. It's somewhat fitting that we are recording this episode when I don't have all of my faculties about me, given the fact that not only is this the second episode of this round of WrestleMania, but it's also the second round of us actually recording this particular episode.
Yeah.
This is a do-over. This is somewhat of a Frankenstein episode. To explain, Jameson, do you want to explain what happened?
Sure. So originally, by the way, we have a special guest, a returning guest, dear old friend of mine, Danny Marquardt.
Hi.
Yeah, you may remember from the Son of Dracula episode. We brought him back for a Dave Bautista movie that we recorded at Podstream Studios a couple of weeks ago, and boy, that movie was a bit of a depressing slog, wasn't it?
Danny, this is the fastest anyone has become a member of the Three Timers Club on the podcast. So.
Yeah. One of them was a lost episode. So.
we have a couple of those.
Yeah.
We have a couple of those. And this is a new one. As we have said somewhat sloppily, today we're talking about Dave Bautista. He is the wrestler du jour, and we have already recorded a full episode on a Dave Bautista movie, but as Jameson was saying, that movie was kind of a slog, and we weren't really able to mine a ton of jokes out of it, which ostensibly, I guess, is what you listen to this for.
This comedy show.
In theory.
Yeah.
But the other issue is that there was a minor technical error with the microphone, and my microphone, and a lot of my plosives were popping.
Yeah, very crappy audio.
It didn't sound very good, and we tried to fix it, and we just couldn't. So we decided.
Yeah, I mean, we took a whack each at whether or not we could probably salvage that episode, but we just figured, this is not even an episode worth salvaging. Let's just do it again and watch something a little funner.
I'm sure there were some moments, but yeah, we decided, what, probably the best option, the option that we would enjoy doing more rather than painstakingly sitting and trying to edit the episode to infinity. Yeah. We just said, fuck it, let's just do a do-over. We'll pick something more fun. So the movie that we chose today is Final Score from the year 2018. Another Die Hard ripoff.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about all these diehard movies. Most of them pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's a hard concept to fuck up, and this movie delivers what's on the tin. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. And like we were saying before that, like, there are so many bad diehard ripoffs, but the formula itself is so solid that anybody could take that formula and make a decent movie out of it. I don't think we'll be going down the filmography of Dave Bautista because we did that already on the episode that shall not be named. But I think maybe that chunk is salvageable enough that we can just substitute that.
So if I was to say
insert clip here.
Yes. I'll put some like a sound effect in, like we're going into a dream sequence. And so, gentlemen, why don't we discuss the career of Dave Bautista? Why don't we do that one? Let's do that right about now. Well, since we're talking about it, let's run down the Bautista film career. It's very short, so don't worry, Jameson. We won't spend an hour and a half on the filmography this time.
Because I know it's short, I'm getting excited about this.
He's not terribly... He's not in, like, a ton, but, like, the things that he has done are pretty notable and pretty interesting. So his first credited role in a movie, weirdly enough, is in a Werner Herzog movie... that has one of my favorite titles of any movie. He plays a police officer in a movie called My Son, What Have Ye Done?
Oh, that sounds like Werner Herzog, 100%.
It's a movie with Michael Shannon, who plays a man who murders his mother with a samurai sword.
Sure.
And it's
you would.
It's super weird. You know, it's a Herzog movie, so like there's some weird energy brings to it. I think David Lynch actually produced that one, so I think it's like the first time Lynch and Herzog have teamed up on something.
I have to imagine Bautista's in it for like maybe 5 minutes, if not less.
Oh no, I would say less than that. I'd say it's probably a glorified cameo, but that is his first credited movie role, so I don't know. I think that's definitely worth mentioning. His next movie, Jameson,
Wrong Side of Town,
his Wrong Side of Town,
which we covered many years ago.
I think that was episode 10. That was
something like it was part of our first WrestleMania, and like, God, it is not worth revisiting.
No, it is not. And Bautista has actually said that is the movie role where after he watched it, he realized, oh no, I need acting lessons. And that was the movie that kind of helped him realize, if I'm going to do this, I probably need to actually know how to do this. So, which to his credit, I think a lot of wrestlers don't do. I think a lot of wrestlers don't have that moment of realization. It was all like, maybe I should get better at this.
Chaz, are you telling me that professional wrestlers are not superb actors? I mean, like, that's their job. They go to perform. They're the stars of the show. They're wonderful. How dare you?
I mean, certain wrestlers are good. This is our 4th WrestleMania, so like we've covered like a fair degree of like wrestling talent.
I mean, like, there are wrestlers who are really good at what they do. Whether they need to stretch that to something, like a role beyond like their gimmick or their kayfabe, that's to be determined.
So after Wrong Side of Town, he does 2 more direct-to-DVD movies. He does a movie called House of the Rising Sun. I like this poster. It's Bautista. He still has hair in this. He's got his tats and everything. It has a great tagline. They took his badge. He kept the gun. House of the Rising Sun. I don't know if that has anything to do with the song or anything.
It looks like he's trying to be The Rock from this poster.
Very much so. He hadn't quite figured out his screen identity at this point, and this is very much Rock light. And then after that, he is in the direct-to-DVD sequel, The Scorpion King 3, Battle for Redemption.
Where he's definitely trying to be The Rock.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Well, he doesn't play the Scorpion King in that. He plays all of the Scorpion King sequels cast some no-name person as the Scorpion King, because the Scorpion King is a truly weird franchise, because like it was a prequel to The Mummy Returns, but then every subsequent sequel to the Scorpion King has to also be a prequel, so they have to cast an actor who is younger than The Rock in the first. So I think all of them like go backwards. It's a weird chronology of direct-to-DVD movies.
Is there like an infant toddler Scorpion King, and it's like this coming-of-age story?
The high school years.
But all of them have like weird ensemble casts. Number 3 has Tamura Morrison, Billy Zane, Ron Perlman. So yeah, just like your standard.
Anyone that needs to pay off like a car.
Exactly. 2012 is the first theatrical movie that he's in. He plays the villainous brass body in The Man with the Iron Fists, directed by RZA.
Right, I've seen the trailer to that.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe's in that, right?
Russell Crowe
as
is
a cowboy.
Yeah, and he's like crazy and like he's like having some fun.
I haven't seen that movie, but I've seen the trailer, and I'm like, all right, that's all I need to see.
I've seen it. I couldn't tell you anything. It's definitely one of those movies that has like some really good kung fu in it, and you're all like, oh hey, RZA, managed to direct a pretty good movie, and then you realize, oh, he probably didn't direct the fight choreography. Probably did everything else other than that.
Like the writing and the directing.
I actually think he co-wrote that movie with Eli Roth. That's no comment on that. No comment on the quality of that. But I do remember when that came out. That was an interesting pairing. RZA, Eli Roth, and Russell Crowe in a
together
movie,
at last
in like a samurai movie, or something. But like that's because the RZA and the Wu-Tang have always touched on samurai mythology within their music and everything. So that seemed like a logical step for them because he's always been kind of fascinated by Asian culture. But it's not a movie that has really stuck around in the public minds, much like his movie after that, 2013's Riddick, the third Riddick movie, which teamed him up with his future Guardians of the Galaxy co-star Vin Diesel, although I guess Vin Diesel was never in the room with him on those movies. But either of you seen Riddick?
I think so. I don't know if I've seen, like, you said there was a third one?
That is the third one, yeah.
Oh.
It goes Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, and then just Riddick.
I might have.
Because Vin Diesel can't let that franchise go.
They're so memorable, clearly. I've seen some of them. I don't know if I've
Riddick
seen
is the one that's kind of a soft reboot of Pitch Black, because it's like Pitch Black is like Riddick on an alien. Yeah, it's a porno. On a planet with like a bunch of aliens, and then like ripped dick. And then Chronicles of Riddick tries to add like this mythology and give them like wizards, Judi Dench or whatever. And then like Riddick goes back to him on a planet with aliens, and there's like mercs or whatever. I'm sure Dave Bautista is like the smart ass guy who's all like, get out of here, Riddick, and then he probably gets killed or something. I don't know. I'm saying that never having seen the movie. But
it feels like I've already seen the movie.
There you go. Just describing that, yeah.
What a flick.
But then 2014, of course, is Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's where everything kind of changes for Bautista. I know, certainly, for me, like when that movie was announced and the first image of that movie was the five of them in the
police
lineup. Yeah, thank you. And I remember that was my screensaver on my laptop for the longest time because I just saw that. This movie looks awesome. I'm like genuinely excited for this. I was all in on Groot before the trailer even came up. I just saw he's a big old tree boy, and I'm all like, I'm gonna like this character.
Yeah,
I'm gonna like this character a lot. But I remember before that movie came out, there wasn't a ton of Bautista in the trailers. And I was only like somewhat familiar with him as a wrestler. I didn't know anything about like his personality at the time,
or what his performance was going to be like.
So he was the element of the movie that I was least excited about.
They saved him for the movie.
Absolutely, that was some smart marketing because like he was the character I was the least excited about. I'm all like, okay, he's just going to be like the fifth ancillary member of this team, and then you go to see the movie, and he's kind of the best performance in the movie.
What I always appreciated about Bautista in those Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and like in like the Marvel franchise in general, is he really gives a shit about Drax and his story, to the point where like there have been interviews where he's been disappointed in how he is depicted in Infinity War and Endgame, because spoiler alert for Avengers Endgame,
enough time has passed. You should have seen it.
Drax doesn't square up with Thanos, and Drax's whole thing was that Thanos killed his wife and daughter, and he never once gets that like a chance
closure.
He never gets that. He never gets that moment. And
the best he does is he runs at Thanos that one time, and then Thanos turns him into bubbles or something. Yeah.
So my hope with like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is now it kind of deals with.
They go back in time to save Thanos so that Drax
Sure. That's my big hope for that.
2015, he plays drug dealer number 1 in a movie called L.A. Slasher. I've never heard of this. This is a weird nothing movie, but
that's a step down.
It is this weird movie that has like this insane cast: Misha Barton, Eric Roberts, Drake Bell. Danny Trejo, Andy Dick, and then Dave Bautista's just in that. I don't have any opinion on that, but that's just not his credit. But he is also the villainous Mr. Hinks in the terrible James Bond movie Spectre. And I remember I was very excited coming off of Guardians. I'm all like, yeah, Dave Bautista's in a James Bond movie. That's going to be great. He has barely any lines, and
he kind of sucks in it.
And he kind of gets unceremoniously killed off. And I remember being really disappointed because we just proved that Dave Bautista has a ton of charisma, and you just give him nothing to do in this movie.
You just cast him as like the big muscular heavy.
Yeah, I have to imagine he got cast in that before anyone saw him in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Yeah, 2016, he's in a ton more direct-to-DVD bullshit. He's in a movie I believe you've seen, Jameson, Kickboxer Vengeance?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie sucks.
And then he's in two other direct-to-DVD movies, Marauders, which is one of many direct-to-DVD Bruce Willis movies. And then he's in something called The Warrior's Gate, where he plays a character named Aaron the Cruel. 2017, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And he has a short role at the very beginning of Blade Runner 2049, the first movie he makes with Denis Villeneuve.
Yep.
He's not in that movie very much, but he's really good in it. He could play Haunted extremely well.
That, I think, is the role that people started to notice him as an actor. Like, less so than, like, he's a really good comedic performer, and then, shit, this guy actually has a lot of depth to him.
Yeah, he's not in that movie much, but when Ryan Gosling, spoilers for Blade Runner 2049, when Ryan Gosling shows up at, like, his apartment, like, you can tell just by, like, the look on his face and the way that he's acting, that he's just all, like, he's just this guy, he's tired, he's done all these things, he's sort of resigned to the fact that his life is probably over now, and he just plays defeated really well. And I think Denis Villeneuve liked working with him so much, he actually gave that character like a 10-minute short film that's all about him that I think you can watch on YouTube. That's kind of like a prologue to Blade Runner 2049.
No idea.
2018, huge year for him. He's in 5 movies. He's in, of course, Avengers Infinity War. He is in Escape Plan 2, Hades. Do you remember the movie Escape Plan, where Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger are in prison together and they have to break out?
Yeah.
So Arnold got out, but Stallone seems to love...
He likes it in there.
He loves the prospect of being trapped in a prison and having to get out, because he made 2 direct-to-DVD sequels, and Dave Bautista's in both of them.
I try to get out, and they pull me back in.
I'm just in prison, and maybe I'll escape from prison. I don't know.
To help other people escape from prison.
He's in a movie called Master Zed, The Ip Man Legacy, which is yet another movie in the long-running Ip Man franchise. Of course, Ip Man, the real-life instructor of Bruce Lee in China, can't stop making movies about him. I think this one is like a spin-off movie from like a minor character in Ip Man 3, I believe, who kind of like audiences really reacted well to him, so he got his own spin-off movie. Dave Bautista's in this, Michelle Yeoh is in this, Tony Jaa. And then he's in a movie that came out in theaters called Hotel Artemis. Did either of you see this?
I did see that one. I've actually seen it twice. Not on purpose. Well, I watched it once on my own and then another time.
And then another time by accident. Yeah.
It's
all like, you know how it is sometimes.
When you least suspected it.
It's just caught me in a dark alley, and it's like, you're gonna watch this now.
No. If you had told me that the heart of Hotel Artemis would be the genuine chemistry between Dave Bautista and 2-time Academy Award winner Jodie Foster, I would not have believed you. But they're kind of great in that movie. Like, they have, like, genuine chemistry. They just seem like not like romantic chemistry. Like, she's like a mob doctor, and he's like her assistant, but like they have like this sort of like back and forth long-term friendship. Obviously they've been working together for years and everything, so not a great movie, but he's not bad in it. He's pretty good. And then 2019, of course, he's in Avengers Endgame, barely, but he's in it. He's at the end. He's in Escape Plan: The Extractors, which, as I've mentioned on this podcast in the past, is from the director of Reach Me. And he's in Stupor, which was his first attempt at comedy. That movie is fucking terrible.
Was that the movie where he was paired up with like a little girl?
No, that's 2020's My Spy, which is a movie that was supposed to be released the same year as Stupor, but then the pandemic happened, and I think it got like
dumped on Amazon Prime or something like that. So
Oh, darn.
Yeah.
Stuber is Kumail Nanjiani.
yeah, and he drives and there's like one genuinely funny part in the trailer where he like tosses the gas canister out the window, and then Dave Bautista shoots it and the car explodes. I don't know. That's like the only like funny part of that trailer. I'm all like, maybe there's something. I think I watched that movie on a plane, and
And you almost walked out.
it did not make the flight any faster. If anything, it added 5 hours onto my flight.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not great. And then last year, 2021, he has the 1-2 punch of Dune, which makes him, like, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the only professional wrestler who has been in a movie nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. So that's somewhat of a highlight. And speaking of the Academy Awards, he's in the audience favorite Army of the Dead, which of course
win audience favorite?
won the coveted audience cheer award. I don't know, whatever fucking nonsense the Oscars tried to do, which the Snyder Army completely hijacked from everybody. You've heard about this, right?
I have no idea what you're talking
No?
about.
Okay, so the Oscars this year, they included like this Twitter poll thing
Oh god.
in an attempt. I think it
Stop while you're ahead.
it was like a bold-faced attempt. They did like two things where it was like the fan favorite movie and then like the cheer-worthy moment, and it was like a bold-faced attempt to they assumed that everyone would vote for like Spider-Man because like I think like Disney was like upset because Disney owns ABC and ABC airs the Oscars, so I think that was like an attempt to gain more attention to Spider-Man, which didn't get nominated for Best Picture, and everyone was,
Even though
was
it made
doing
all
that.
the money in the world, it needed more attention.
But they put it on Twitter, which was their main mistake, because the overwhelming voting groups all got together and they said, like, we need to stand up for Zack Snyder, of course, because he's much maligned and he has to be. So I think like the audience fan favorite movie went to Army of the Dead, and the cheer moment went to Flash entering the Speed Force in Zack Snyder's 4-hour Justice League movie.
I'm surprised Bodie McBoatface didn't win.
just a write-in attempt. Yeah. It was pretty embarrassing. Did you see that Army of the Dead movie?
I did, yeah.
Yes.
It was
Pretty fucking
mediocre.
long. And then his upcoming movies are all like super impressive. Of course, he's going to be Drax 2 more times in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but also Thor: Love and Thunder, which we're getting later this year because they've shoehorned the Guardians of the Galaxy into that movie. He's in Knives Out 2, which is which is coming to Netflix, and he's in the newest M. Night Shyamalan movie, which is called Knock at the Cabin, which is described as a home invasion horror film set during the apocalypse.
I'm sure that's gonna suck.
You know,
Yeah, probably.
M. Night's on a bit of an upswing.
Is
Old's
he?
not that bad. Split has its moments. You know, it's okay. I think he's kind of like plateaued. Like, he's not really making The Happening anymore. He's largely staying away from Nickelodeon adaptations.
I mean, I've seen him in interviews. He seems like a very cool guy, very laid back kind of guy. His movies, I think, just kind of suck. That's my hot take. That's
a hot take. M. Night Shyamalan.
The hottest it takes. I don't like M. Night Shyamalan movies.
All of them? You don't like
most of them?
Sixth Sense?
Well,
Unbreakable?
the first one of his movies that I saw was The Happening,
That was a mistake. Yes,
that was like just a poorly written piece of garbage. And then I kind of noticed those hallmarks in all of his other movies, so I'm just like, this guy's a bit of a hack.
Interestingly, he is not credited on IMDb yet for Dune 2, but I have to imagine he's going to pop up in that at some point because his character didn't die. I have to imagine he'll be around, but yeah, interestingly, he's not in the cast for that yet. But I have to imagine he'll probably be in that. I think it would be weird if he's, but I don't know. I haven't read the book. Maybe his character is just not in the second half of the book. Maybe I don't know. I don't know about that. But anyway, there we go. There's Dave Bautista's career.
All right, maybe 20 minutes have gone by as we.
Oh God, we were so young.
Yeah,
we were so young.
Those heady days of like 2 weekends ago.
Yeah. So the movie we talked about last time was called Bushwick. It was a bummer. It was probably the most depressing movie we've ever covered. It was about like a Civil War siege that took place in Bushwick, New York.
Yeah, a bunch of American states seceded and started invading the other states, and it was just an absolute depressing slog because there was like very harsh undertones of racism there and political unrest.
And just an awkward movie to talk about after the January 6th thing, which is what we kept talking about consistently in that episode, and this is the only time I'll bring it up here.
And plus, like, the main two characters that we follow through the entire movie die at the end, so, like...
spoilers for a movie that you probably shouldn't watch.
We're spoiling 2 movies today.
Exactly.
Some might say that's what we do on the show, is we spoil movies.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to like recommend the movie at like the end of the thing, even though we literally just told you everything that happened in the movie?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, we're still doing it. We've learned nothing.
I was just saying that for the benefit of the listeners. Like, hey, if you want an option for your bad movie nights, I recommend this. That's where my thinking was. But our counter to that was like, well, after going through bouts of depression with Bushwick, we decided let's do something that's what we hoped had a little more levity to it.
Sure.
So looking at like the nothing movies that we had on deck for Bautista, we just said, well, this one looks kind of stupid. This one looks like we can have the most laughs out of it. And I gotta say, I think this movie was pretty good.
Yeah, we had some good laughs. We mined some good laughs out of this. Before we get into the movie itself, Danny, I asked you last time when you were on the show what your history with wrestling is. I don't know if that's something you want to try to regurgitate in a new way, or if you had anything new that it came to mind about wrestling that maybe you want to bring up now.
Well, I remember what I said 2 weeks ago verbatim, so I'll just try and...
I mean, we still have the recording.
Yeah, your audio.
Oh, my audio's fine?
Fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I could always just like cut up, hey, what's that sound effect again? Oh my god.
We have enough of Danny's recorded audio that we can splice it up and switch things around to get him to say anything.
No, I could try and say something new, and then if what I say is terrible, you can just splice in all the good stuff.
We'll see how you said it better.
Every sentence, I'll like splice in. No, I'm already saying no to that because that's way too much work for me.
And you're hungover.
Well, I'm not doing this today.
Okay.
I grew up watching wrestling, and by grew up, I mean not when I was like preteen or anything, but in my teenage years, I loved wrestling. I loved watching. The Rock was my favorite wrestler, as many young teenage boys from my generation probably would agree. Also, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I would have been watching wrestling during what I think was called the Attitude Era.
Yeah, the Attitude Era.
Yeah, when everyone was just like, being a dick is cool. And so, like, The Rock, he was the loved one because he was just, like, insulting to everyone, and that was just how it was. And I guess that was my formative years, and now I'm a dick, and it's funny.
It informed you into the man you are today.
Yeah, so, I think Dave Bautista came into my wrestling viewing career. Actually, I'm trying
here now. You're getting a paycheck. For
yeah, absolutely.
Right? Some people do.
Damn, how do you get in on that action?
Inherited wealth.
Gotcha.
So your parents were writing checks to
no, but I mean, like, I was a teenager. They were paying for my rent, my food and stuff. Like, if someone did that now, I would consider that an income, or at least like a perk of the job.
By that respect, most people have inherited wealth. Then
there you go.
Just mooching off your parents.
But during all of this process, you were getting really into the Attitude Era, which is all about like defiance against authority.
Absolutely, while just benefiting from the privilege of growing up with
the system that you benefit from.
Parents who could provide for me.
Yeah.
I was a white kid just rebelling against the privilege that I had in a way that I continued to benefit from.
That's what 90s wrestling was all about.
Absolutely.
All right, so final score.
Final score. Let's just say we're gonna break right here, and you can listen to this charity spot. And when you come back, we'll still be exactly where we are. We will not have left. Talk to you soon.
Hi everyone. I'd like to make today's charity spot short and to the point. The discourse surrounding the possibility of the U.S. Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, effectively making abortions illegal in certain states if the heads of those states have their way, is a frightening perversion of justice and strips basic human freedoms from the people who need them the most. This is a situation that, as of this recording, is still in flux and hasn't gone one way or the other yet, but many frightened people are preparing for a horrifying outcome, and so right now is the time to support the organizations that are fighting for women's reproductive health and the right to choose what they do with their bodies. So today I'm including some links for services in states with lawmakers who will more than likely try to prohibit abortion. Services like the Mississippi Reproductive Freedom Fund. Mississippi currently has just one abortion clinic left, and 91% of women there have no provider. Then there's Fund Texas Choice. In 2021, Texas enacted a trigger ban, which intends to ban abortions in all situations, even in the case of rape, incest, or ectopic pregnancies. So many services could use any sort of donation you're willing to offer, so I will include several links in our show notes that you can follow. Also, the website The Cut has compiled an even more comprehensive list of charities and services that you can donate to, so I will include the link to that article as well, as it's far better written than anything I could possibly say. Please stand up for women's reproductive rights and their rights to choose. Thanks. And now, back to the episode.
And we're back. Final score! It's directed by some guy named Scott Mann. Very clearly wants to be taken as someone of a C-grade Michael Mann, right down to his name being spelled the same way. He's actually made 2 movies with Dave Bautista. The other movie is another direct-to-DVD cheapo-looking thing called Heist, which has like a fairly decent cast for one of these things as far as these things go. Robert De Niro, inexplicably, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Kate Bosworth.
I think we brought this
Morris
up.
Chestnut, I think, is in that.
I think we brought this up when we were talking about Bushwick.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So yeah, if I'm repeating that. But I don't know. So he's worked with Bautista twice. He's also done this other movie called The Tournament. I think about a bunch of assassins who have to
infiltrate a soccer game.
I don't know how much soccer is involved in that one,
Okay.
but yeah. But yeah, final score, as we said, it's basically a Die Hard ripoff. I mean, they've literally already done Die Hard at a sports stadium before. It was called Sudden Death, and it's a pretty good movie. That was hockey, though, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because JCVD fights the Pittsburgh Penguins mascot.
That's right.
Well, he fights I think we talked about this again during Bushwick.
Sure.
We covered a lot of ground in Bushwick.
Well, it's just going to be us repeating ourselves then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is Die Hard at a UK football stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe we should decide right now, are we going to call it football or are we going to call it soccer?
You guys call it whatever you want. I'm calling it soccer.
All right. I agree. Soccer.
Okay, so it's one of those. It's the one with the ball that you actually kick.
Yeah.
So-
Sorry, UK listeners, but on this side of the pond, we call it soccer.
We also call them elevators instead of lifts, and like car trunks instead of the boot. So
and
like
trucks instead of lorries.
yes, we're very North American. Although we still use the letter U in a lot of words. So
Yeah, we got the Queen on our money.
And-
So yeah, we're like a weird little cousin
A weird
to
hodgepodge.
the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we also spell gray with an E. That's another.
We also spell gray the correct way. It just looks very odd every time I see it with an A. It's not like that's not how that's spelled.
The funniest example I always think of is the word tire center, because it's a combination of the American and the British way of spelling it. So you have the American tire, but you have the English center.
Right.
Yeah.
We also say Z.
We do.
Which even as a kid I never truly understood
I
because it doesn't rhyme. That's the whole point of the alphabet song.
I know, it's so annoying
Yeah.
that it doesn't rhyme that way. I always have to use my full mental capacity to remember to say Z.
I mean, Z is more fun to say than Z. Z doesn't sound complete.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're about to say something and then you
say something in German.
Yeah, you forget. Yeah, exactly.
It does really lend itself to just being a complete ass, referring to such hit anime shows like Dragon Ball Z or the famous band ZZ Top.
Oh, I love ZZ Top.
So final score.
Yeah. Jameson, kick us off, as you will. That's a little sports pun right there. This is the perfect blending, because this is our miniseries where you're talking about wrestling, a subject I know very little about, and we're blending it now with soccer, which I know even less about.
Yeah.
That's the one where you can't use your hands, right?
That's right.
Right.
So, before the events of this movie, we were given this newsreel flash footage of the backstory of our main bad guys. There is a revolutionary war going on in the fictional country of Sokovia.
Yep.
Now they say
years before Ultron tried to take over the city.
Now
Revolution in the Russian state of Sokovia as the people continue their fight.
Now they say this. They say it so many times as we were watching this. I pulled my phone out because there was an inkling where I'm all like, is there actually a city in Russia called Sokovia? And I typed that in, and here's what popped up. So the first sentence says, Sokovia was a former landlocked country in central southeastern Europe ordered by Slovakia and the Czech Republic. I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds legit. I guess maybe this actually is a real place. The second sentence goes, after its capital city was destroyed by Ultron. It was politically absorbed in the surrounding countries. So no, it's not a real place.
But someone went out of their way.
But Google would have you believe, unless you keep reading, that it might be. It's just very funny. Yeah.
So the events of the movies are bleeding into the real world.
Yeah.
We're fucked.
But okay, yeah, so 2018 is when this movie came out. So Age of Ultron came out long before that. So yeah, this movie is literally just stealing a somewhat famous fictional city that has been used in multiple other Marvel properties.
And they're getting away with it.
Yeah, and they're casting one of Marvel's stars in it. So it's like, at some point it's...
Bautista's reading the script like, wait a minute.
Where have I heard that before? That sounds so familiar. I can't put my finger on it.
Wait, no, my character's from space.
He's from space.
He wouldn't know this.
He doesn't watch that other shit. No, he's a busy man.
So there were two head revolutionaries. They're both brothers. One who was sort of like the main muscle, and then there was one who was like the figurehead. Figurehead is pronounced dead in some attack, but there's like rumblings that he may have gone into hiding or been annexed by the UK and went under facial reconstruction surgery, which is exactly what happened and why this guy now looks like Pierce Brosnan.
Which, kudos to those facial reconstruction surgeons, because Pierce Brosnan is a handsome man. They did good work.
Yeah. I mean, what if that was like his specification? Like, I want to look like James Bond.
Yeah, and then he gets it and he comes out. It's all like, George Lazenby. No, back in the chair. Back in the chair. We gotta keep going. Yes, Pierce Brosnan is playing the brother Dimitri. And his brother Arcady is played by Ray Stevenson, the second best Punisher. I think people generally hold that opinion. I don't know. Warzone is kind of a divisive movie, but I had some fun with it.
I really like John Barenthal.
I think John Barenthal is the number one Punisher.
And whatever, Tom James was awesome. He just wants his kids back.
And I've never... But he can't because they're dead. Yeah. They got shot. And then I've never seen the Dolph Lundgren one, but I imagine that one is
holy
closer
shit, yeah,
to
there have been 4 guys who played the Punisher.
They could do like a fucking Punisher-verse movie.
Jesus.
I mean, those are all the fucking...
That's all the rage now.
It's all the rage and everything like that. Get all the Punishers together and have them fucking gun down a bunch of people.
That's just what we need, more Punishers out there.
I just want, like, all 4 of those guys just pointing at each other. Like, that's something.
So, we flash forward 17 years later. God, what was that fucking opening scene?
Well, there's a bunch of little kids playing soccer. Yeah. Hey! They're kicking a ball around and they kick a door. And you think, like, someone's gonna, like, come out and be like, hey, you kids, you do that. Someone goes diving through the glass window of the door, and he just starts running.
And then we see who's chasing him, and he is just like...
I would run too!
He's like the most jacked human being I think I've ever seen in my life.
A giant human being who is played by an actor named Martin Ford. He's one of those guys where his IMDb photo it's him from this movie called Blood Drive, but he's just a monster.
Oh,
like some people have, like, you know, like their headshots or whatever. This is literally a photo of him. It appears to be holding a severed leg, which it looks like he's about to chow down on. But yeah, he's just a massive man, which I guess makes sense when you're hiring someone that Dave Bautista has to fight, because it's the only way it would look remotely intimidating and would look like Dave Bautista is in any sort of trouble by hiring the... I'm just going to say it, from the perspective of a goon, he's maybe too big. Like, if I was Ray Stevenson and this guy showed up as all like, I believe in your cause and I want to be a terrorist as well too, I would say, you know what? You're too noticeable. Like, we're going undercover a lot of the time, you know, like, we have to disguise ourselves as, like British football security team and everything like that. You are the biggest fucking person I've ever seen in my life. Maybe you stay home on this one.
I mean, good job on the casting thing. Like, we need to find someone who looks like they could be a fucking physical threat to Dave Bautista. And they fucking found a guy to do that.
I really want to see that guy against Tom Cruise in, like, the next Top Gun or Mission Impossible or something. I want to see that guy who makes Dave Bautista look small up against what is it, like 4'9"?
Yeah.
Well, they'll shoot Tom Cruise the usual way that they do, so that he's like just like a little bit taller than that guy. It's all about camera angles.
He would need several boxes to stand on.
Were you saying, Danny, that like that dude was a meme or something? Like he went to the defense of his mother or something because he's actually a sweetheart in real life?
Yeah, it was. I wish I had looked it up earlier so
I'll
that
see if I can find it.
All right.
But describe it for the people at home.
Sure. When I end up being dead wrong about what it says, it's going to make me look very foolish. But it is a meme of this big scary dude from, I guess, one of his movies where he's a big scary dude, and it's making some comment about something to do with moms. And I think that has to be the case because the next bit is him responding to it over Twitter or some of the social media with his mom, and he's saying like, no, I love my mom, I call her every day, and it's a very heartwarming moment for this giant fucking like brick shithouse, to steal Jameson's line, loving his mother.
Well, good for him, he's a good kid. Good boy.
I can't find the specific meme you're talking about, but like I'm just finding like a lot of images of Martin Ford. He looks like a big goofy dude.
Well, you tell him that.
Like, I don't know. I found like a photo of
you
him.
hear that, Martin Ford? Kaz Lesgard, who lives at.
It looks like he's like bending a cucumber or something here. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know. Martin Ford, come on the show. Come on the show where we welcome you here. It says he fought the Iranian Hulk. I don't know. This is great. That's just what it says. That's like the top search that I found.
Stop looking at Marvel shit. We're trying to do a recording. So, anyways, he chases down this informant who knows where Dimitri's been hiding. He gets strung up by Ray Stevenson and stabbed in the dick.
He gets stabbed in the dick.
Which is the first
stabbed in the dick.
And then the title card. I mean, that's how you introduce your movie.
Yeah,
stab someone in the dick and then say like the name of the movie.
Yeah, the last time he got laid was his final score.
Yes, that's a joke that you told just now.
That's right.
That's why we're all laughing so hard. It's because it's the first time we heard it.
Hey, it was a good one, all right?
It deserves to be repeated.
Yes, exactly. So we cut to Dave Bautista.
Mike Knox.
Yeah, professional American who showed up.
Professional American!
He shows up to London and he's like, already hates like having to go to a soccer game, but he's there to see the daughter of his old war buddy.
He gets into a cab and the match is on, whatever, and he loudly goes, "Oh, fucking soccer! Can you change that?"
Tonight is football night. West Ham against Dynamo. Last ever match at the Berlin ground. It don't get any better.
Fucking soccer.
You can change it if you like.
Please.
No problemo, mate.
I don't care if you are as big as Dave Bautista is. You do not get into a cab and start talking shit about football. That guy will turn that cab around and take you right back to the airport, sir.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys, because I think you probably know the answer better than I would. Is there a trope of Americans coming to England, and then, like in movies, and then just shitting on England for the entire thing?
I would say all movies. I would say any time an American shows up in England, he's talking about
how terrible.
All the differences, and you can't get good beer down here.
Your warm beer, your dumb sports, your bloody queen, or whatever the fuck, yeah.
I do have to say, one of the times that I went to England, I went to a pub, and they did put my pint glass on a heater. It was very strange. I'm not saying all British pubs are like this, but I have been to one where it did that. Yeah. And it was like, I guess it was to like clean the outside of the glass of like moisture or whatever. It was very odd, but I remember the guy put it on there and like this sort of like hot blast of air started going up the glass. I just looked at him and was like, just give me that. What are you doing? I don't want that. Why would you want that? I'm the problem, I guess.
I was just going to say, I love how in this movie that is going to take place entirely in a soccer stadium, they have to get that line out right. Like, it's probably one of his first lines, that he hates soccer. Yeah, like, just like that trope just warms my fucking heart.
And he is in England because he has bought 2 tickets for a soccer game.
Yeah, a big, important soccer game by the looks of it.
It's the last game that they're having in that stadium. I guess they moved stadiums, or that stadium is set to demolish or whatever. But like, it's a gorgeous looking stadium. It looks fairly new. Yeah. So I guess just like a surplus of money. Yeah. You just throw stadiums away willy nilly.
So because Dave Bautista has guilt over his war buddy dying that he somehow may have been responsible for, he now goes out of his way every year to like check in on his wife and her daughter. And out of the goodness of his heart, he bought likely expensive plane tickets to go to England, likely even more expensive tickets to go to this game. and she's such an ungrateful little shit that she ditches him once they get there.
Well, and also, he didn't, like, call her mom ahead of time to, like, arrange the outing, which is something that, like, anyone would do. Like, if you're going to, like, a different country for an event, you would discuss the event ahead of time, at the very least to make sure that she's free that night. Anything could be going on. Like, really poor planning here on Mike Knox's part.
It sounded like this was a yearly anniversary almost, like it was his death day or something, because it sounds like, oh, you're back again, you don't have to keep doing this. So
Did they say in the movie how long ago her father died? For
they
some
did
reason,
not know
I thought
that.
it was, like, fairly recent.
It could have been.
You
I mean,
know?
she's clearly not over it.
No, she's pretty messed up about it. I feel like he died pretty recently, and if anything, this is like the 1 year anniversary of his death.
Maybe.
But I wasn't paying attention to most of the movie. No, I was watching.
I don't think they actually say it, but I also gotta wonder, like, because Dave Bautista was the, like, commander that sent them all to their death. Does he do this for all of the people that he sent to? Like, how many daughters, how many different final scores are happening where he's like, goes, okay, so I took care of this family, and I want to the next one.
Jesus Christ, I got a baseball game to get to.
And then cricket, I fucking hate cricket.
See a Flames game.
So many air miles he's racking up.
He goes to the hockey game with, like, his surrogate, like, nephew or whatever.
And has to stop a terrorist attack there.
Yeah, and then he runs into JCVD and he's all like, oh, shit. I'm in the other movie!
Wouldn't you know it, they go to the stadium and it's in the process of getting hijacked by terrorists. And they storm into the building.
That old chestnut.
Yeah. And he's already aware that there's something going on because he looks over and he notices the anus tattoo.
This guy, he's got the fucking community flag fucking tattoo on his neck. It's meant to be look intimidating or whatever. And Dave Bautista's, I guess, terrorist sense goes off just because he sees kind of a sketchy looking dude. Yeah. There isn't even like a line of dialogue to explain. It's all like, I recognize that tattoo. That's like the mark of like this terrorist cell or whatever. But no, he just kind of all like, something's up with that guy. Yeah. I got a bad feeling. I got a bad feeling about this one.
Which was strange because when you were talking about the big scary dude whose name I already forget,
his name was Vlad.
No, I
mean,
all
of them have like
the tattoo guy.
Oh, that dude. Oh,
where he like they're like, oh, we're totally not gonna stand out, and that guy's got a fucking neck tattoo of.
They all have neck tattoos.
I know.
He has a face tattoo.
They all look like Russian terrorists.
Yeah, it was very poorly planned. Like there was, this guy's supposed to be like this octogenarian security guard named Ron. He's got like the ID card of like this bearded, like Santa Claus looking motherfucker, and he's like some Russian gangster with the like the prison tattoos, and I mean he was like a white tank top away, or no, a tracksuit away.
That tracksuit's on. Well, they're wearing security guard outfits, so it's like it's somewhat close to a tracksuit, but
Dave Bautista loses track of the daughter. The friend's daughter.
She fucks off to go hang out with her idiot boyfriend.
Yeah, who like Dave Bautista warns against.
I was almost certain that I was very surprised that there wasn't a scene where like the terrorists, because the terrorists end up, of course, kidnapping the niece or whoever. But I was almost certain that there was going to be a scene where they shoot the shithead boyfriend. Because that seems like a character who exists only to die in a nasty way, but he just gets kneed in the nuts and left to his own devices.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted us to sympathize with him, and that's why they didn't kill him. I could have pictured more of, like, where she's getting abducted and he could have saved her, but he runs away.
Yeah.
Like, just really painting him as a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Just a piece of shit.
Yeah, we never find out the fate of that guy. We never know if he makes it out of the stadium alive. He gets kneed in the balls by the girl and just writhes in pain, and that's his role in the movie.
Maybe that's the after credits scene. He just kept going. He stumbles out like, what the fuck happened?
I mean, it was basically a Marvel movie. I'm surprised we should have watched to the end, because my guess is they would have hinted at some kind of, like, ongoing universe.
I mean, Sokovia is a location, and clearly this takes place before the events of Age of Ultron, because it hasn't been raised up into the fucking sky yet.
Yeah.
Because that place like Sokovia like had political turmoil or something in Age of Ultron, so maybe this is like a prequel to Age of Ultron. It hadn't happened yet.
So Dave Bautista tracks down a stadium attendant named Faisal.
Yeah.
Because he knows the area, and he's like, hey, can you get me to, like, the control room or something so I could, like, send out a message?
No, he wants to find his daughter.
He wants his help. He's busy
having racial slurs thrown at him by a little old lady, and that ends up coming back. That's the C story that we didn't realize we needed in this movie. Yeah. And this is the comic relief character. I guess this is our what's the name of the chauffeur driver?
Stuber.
Stuber.
It's the Stuber character, but for final score.
Sure. Because he's an Indian guy.
Well, I think he's Pakistani.
Yeah. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah.
It's Argyle from Die Hard, but this guy's more of a hands-on Argyle because
this is like if you crossed Argyle with Reginald Vell Johnson because he's in the shit with Dave Bautista. He becomes like his bodyguard, and like the second I saw him, I'm all like, oh god, this is gonna be our comic relief. But you know what? Faisal's a pretty fun character. I actually enjoyed him. I thought his humor was good. He had like a couple of good laughs, and he proves to be a solid utility player. He actually does. And end up helping quite a bit.
The most annoying thing he does is like in his first scene, where like every line is a quip, and he has like a little catchphrase that he says about his name. My name is Faisal Khan, and if anyone Khan, Faisal Khan.
Faisal. No, it's Faisal. Faisal Khan. If anyone Khan, Faisal Khan.
I really wanted that to come back.
Yeah.
Of like when Dave Bautista asks him to do something, or maybe Dave Bautista references it because like Faisal was feeling anxious about doing something, and Dave Bautista's like,
I'm gonna go draw their fire. Well, who's gonna get me to the roof? Faisal Khan.
Or a different version of the movie where Faisal gets shot by one of the terrorists, and you think that he's down for the count, but then like Ray Stevenson like radios Dave Bautista over the things, all like Faisal count.
Are you a Faisal Khan or a Faisal Khan?
Like Faisal can't. Boom. So they get into a tiny elevator with one of the Russian goons, and that's when Faisal notices that he's got like the ID badge of a guard friend that he knows, and then there's
Ron, Santa Claus Ron.
And then there's two big dudes having a fight in a tiny elevator space.
And aside from the CGI bullet wounds and the spray of fake blood, which is unfortunately just part and parcel of these direct-to-streaming action movies now, everyone's just doing that. It's you see it so often, you kind of just get used to it now. It's a shame that we haven't gone back to like the squibs of yore and everything like that. Despite that, which is in this movie in abundance, the violence in this movie is pretty fucking awesome. It's like this elevator fight is pretty gnarly.
It's sweet, yeah. He's like doing flips, and like Faisal's like in the elevator with them, so he gets hits.
He's getting like kicked in the head. Yeah,
a tiny space. I don't know like who was the stunt coordinator on that fight, but he was just like, "Suck it up, princess."
Yeah, it's a bloody, nasty fight,
and it ends with like him like shooting the goon in the head.
Yeah, and then for the rest of the movie, both Bautista and Faisal are covered in blood.
Yeah,
and they are running around this stadium trying not to alert people, because that's the other thing is that so the terrorists have like disabled all the cell phone towers. And they've like done something with like the CCTV so that it's like showing like time loop or whatever. Basically, everyone in the stadium and the players don't realize that they're locked in to the stadium. They don't know that there's a terrorist attack going on, but you'd think that someone might be able to figure things out after a while, because there's multiple like machine guns being fired. There's like a motorcycle chase. There are helicopters outside. Like, I know it's like a very important game, but someone would notice.
Yeah,
someone would notice this. Something's up.
During like the halftime, they'd be like, maybe we should go check in on the control room. It's been at least like 40 minutes since we fucking heard from anyone upstairs. But no, like, the play goes on. I just kept imagining, like, because there is, like, a sweet, like, motorcycle chase in the concourse at one point. And I just kept imagining, like, what if there was someone who, like, got up to use the John? And he's like, I just saw the weirdest fucking thing going on out front the hot dog stand. Motorcycle chases.
I think the hot dogs were so good. I mean, they kept showing up prominently in the film. They must have been so good that people were like, you know what? I don't care. And then they just took another bite.
This game is too important.
I mean, if the hot dogs were good, the cinematography didn't belie that. They show a wiener going into a bun at one point, but that's a nasty looking hot dog.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of the fact that I'm feeling a little queasy regardless, but that looked like a nasty, like a boiled hot dog.
I just love how hot dogs are a recurring theme in this movie.
Coming back.
Let's name them all. Bautista leaves the daughter so he could go to the concession stand and get 2 hot dogs.
That's one. That's hot dog moment.
And we have like him, the established shot of him holding 2 hot dogs.
They very pointedly focus in on Dave Bautista's hands just to show us that yes, indeed, he did buy 2 hot dogs, and he's currently on his way back to his seat with the 2 hot dogs.
He alerts the people on the outside that there's trouble going on in the stadium by doing the Die Hard thing, by pushing the corpse of one of the goons over the building.
With a message on it.
Yeah, with a message on it from the chief of police. And that corpse falls into an exterior hot dog stand. While the cops are going to investigate it, there's like the equivalent of the FBI guy there, who, like, as he's detailing the history of, like, who Dimitri is and why he's important, he's making a hot dog for himself next to this fresh corpse.
That was my favorite moment. That was my favorite hot dog moment, where he's, like, explaining what's going on with Ray Stevenson, and then he asks for the mustard, and the mustard is next to a charred, seared corpse that is still currently having smoke emanate off of it because it was previously on fire. Yeah.
Well, it's that barbecue smell, it really puts you in the mood.
You got hungry. Yeah, exactly.
So after the elevator fight, we lead into a fight in a kitchen.
I love a kitchen fight.
This is a good kitchen fight.
This is a good kitchen fight. It's weird because it's one of so there's like a kitchen on top of a kitchen because they have like the dumbwaiter that they cook food on one level and then they put it in there and they send it up, and Faisal gets in there to escape the terrorists because Dave Bautista says, "Get out of here! I'll take them on." So we can see that there is a kitchen staff working in the kitchen above this kitchen. The kitchen that they are having the fight in is completely abandoned, but for some reason all of the equipment is still on.
Yeah.
Well, and thank God for that, otherwise it would have been a very boring kitchen fight scene.
I mean, there's plenty of things you can do in a fully stocked kitchen, like the
knives and the pans.
The flat top and the deep fryers don't have to be on. Like
they do for a great kitchen fight.
I disagree.
I mean, I get why, and I'm glad that they were.
Yeah.
I'm glad that safety protocol was not being followed in that particular instance. But it was a very odd. Yeah. So Vlad, the huge fucking guy, and another guy who ends up getting tossed off of the roof, come in, and Dave Bautista fights these guys.
Well, he does what I thought was a pretty clever move of his part, because at this point we think that Vlad, the huge guy, is like the mini boss, like the guy who's going to be like the prominent physical threat to him. And we're like, there's no way they're going to kill this guy off this easily. And the first thing Bautista does actually is trap that guy in the freezer. And so that takes him out. That's a convenient, clever way to take him out of the fight, so we can deal with the smaller guy first. Yeah. Which sets
doesn't hold him for very long.
No, but it sets up like an amazing thing where like Bautista manages to chop all his fingers off with a knife, which hey, this is a nice little tic-tac-toe, like a sequence of events lead up to something, which is like a clever screenwriter thing. Everything doesn't just happen through happenstance. They set things up.
Yeah, the guy's holding a knife, and then Dave Bautista slashes him, and most of his fingers and the knife fall into the deep fryer. That will become important later.
Yeah, it'll become awesomely important.
It'll become fucking cool.
Yeah. So Vlad busts out, and that's when we have like the big fucking fight against this guy Bautista.
Well, he cuts like a gas line, and he manages to set the one guy on fire, and then that guy's out, and then it's just Bautista versus Vlad, and
very one-sided fight on the side of Vlad's stuff.
Vlad gets some good fucking moves in, like
he presses Bautista's face against the grill.
Yeah, and then like Bautista has like a bloody
burn mark,
oozing wound for the rest of the movie, but it's like a movie wound. It's all like, no man, that face would be gone.
Yeah, he can still see.
Those things are remarkably hot. Like that would, his eye would be gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his face is
melted.
He puts his face on the flat top like multiple times, too, and he comes off and he's just kind of like, ow.
Yeah. And Vlad's just about to pull off his finishing move where he forces Batista's, he tries to dunk him in the deep fryer, but what catches Batista's eye? There's a knife in the deep fryer. He thrusts his hand in there, pulls out the knife, stabs Vlad in the neck with it, and then dunks his head in the fryer.
Vlad goes in the deep fryer.
It's so fucking cool. I loved it.
Can you imagine being the health inspector that comes in after that? Not only has there been a fight scene, but like all of these appliances have been left on. Like there's been like, I don't know, probably something going on in the freezer. Like the door was left open, so all the food is spoiled. Like just a nightmare.
I mean, the stadium kind of blew up, but like, really, if anything, that's the real tragedy here.
It's highly irregular.
All this pork we have to throw out. Think of the hot dogs! They never got a chance.
These hot dogs will never find a happy home.
I guess this kitchen must be for, like the VIPs?
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, like, they're not supplying, like, food to, like, the burger stands or whatever. Like, this is, like, a nice kitchen. So, yeah, this must be, like, the VIP menu or whatever. Yeah.
A fully stocked kitchen like this.
Which,
like, you know, is a thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I love a good head in a deep fryer.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of years I've spent working in kitchens where
fighting the temptation
to just take one of my coworkers and just dunk that in there. Not until death, just a little in and out, just to remind
just
them.
to let them know who's boss.
Like a Dave Bautista into the deep fryer versus a Vlad into the deep fryer.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's just minor scratches.
You just want to get a light coat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we find out more about like the terrorist plot. They have like a shit ton of C4 that they're just planting all around the stadium because their plan is they want to find the Dimitri fella. Coincidentally, is at the game. I don't know. Like I don't know exactly how they found. Oh no, they found.
They stabbed the guy in the dick.
They found out for the dick stabbing guy. Yeah. So they want to bring this guy out of hiding, show him that he didn't fake his death, and this is going to reignite the revolution. In the process, they're also going to blow up the stadium.
Can I just say, not a great plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're going to get like this guy, and he's going to say, "Look, it's our leader. We thought he was dead, but he's back, and the revolution will continue." He looks like a completely different fucking person.
Mm-hmm.
If Pierce Brosnan just wanted to be like, "I've never met this man before in my life," your plan would be fucked, Ray Stevenson.
Yeah. Just get another dude, like maybe even get a lookalike. And just be like, oh yeah, it's totally him. Don't fucking say anything.
Like,
oh yeah, it's him.
You're gonna give him like plastic surgery again to make him look like the guy again? Like he looks like Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah,
it's not gonna work.
In Ray Stevenson's defense, there's that bit at the end where he like hugs his brother, and there's like I think there is a desire from like the brotherly love standpoint to reconnect because there was like they were revolutionaries together. So I think there was a bit of that too.
Yeah, Ray Stevenson is doing this largely out of love. Because he loves his brother.
And he loves his country.
Yeah.
And he wants to see this revolution.
It's totally real country. That definitely exists.
Yeah.
That won't immediately be destroyed by Ultron in a few years.
Yes.
Like, let's say Ray Stevenson wins, and he's like, finally, we've retaken Sokovia. Like, sucks to be him when Ultron comes and blows it the fuck up, so...
The thing that we haven't mentioned yet, which is amazing and continually plays out over the course of the movie, sort of running as like a parallel to the Dave Bautista story, is that the soccer game that is happening is between England and Sokovia. Sokovia is the visiting team, and when you take a look at the crowd, it's literally like the evil team because they're
all red tinted and like their section's on fire, constantly on fire.
There's just all of these flares everywhere in the stands, and it's like this is how you identify who the Sokovia team is. Like who's cheering for who? Oh, sorry, you're in the evil section of the game. And there's even like before they get to the game, there's like a scuffle between like people. In the parking lot.
Yeah,
or
I thought that was just like rival, like
I just thought
hooliganism.
That's just like standard football hooliganism. But no, apparently it's all like the British football fans are always on their best behavior. It's those rotten Sokovians coming over here and starting shit.
Yeah,
I guess England has a big Sokovian subsection of its downtown corner.
Yeah, the stadium's a little Sokovia.
Yeah, a little Sokovia.
What I loved was that during the action sequences, or even just to like bookend scenes, like the the play-by-play guys would like they would talk about the game. They would give the color commentary, but it always sort of had like some kind of parallel to what's going on. Like, oh, the Russians got a lot of good shots in, or like, oh, England's like really on the ropes now. And like, yeah, it was just one of those other examples what I love seeing in movies where you intercut like what's happening in an action sequence, but you have events that happen concurrently with the sports game working in parallel with that. I love that kind of shit.
I think maybe that's why they never ended the soccer game, because if they did, they wouldn't be able to continue with that trope. So we can't end the soccer game because this is our whole bit.
Yeah. What was that whole thing about, like, oh yeah, when the game clock reaches 90 or whatever, like, we'll detonate everything?
But you have to have a countdown. Or
Yeah.
in this case, a count up.
A count up, yeah.
I'm just realizing...
I just loved how, like, you know, at no point are they ever, like, whistling anything down. Like, there's no timeouts. They're never stopping the game because you'll see, like, some dude do an awesome motorcycle stunt jump during a kickoff. It's so good. What else? The chief of police looks like Sean Connery. The agent show.
Oh god.
Oh god. Agent
Cancelled.
Agent Cho, I believe is what
let
you're trying to
me
say.
rephrase here. Agent Cho.
You just did it again.
I said agent.
I'm hearing a distinct S. Maybe it's because my brain is
Why?
racist.
There's only one agent.
Oh my god, this is Computer Boy all over again. You said they could be Asian. Agents, Neo.
Oh man, whatever happened to that video? I tried looking for it once.
It's on YouTube.
Oh, is it great?
Yeah.
Look, check out Computer Boy, everybody, if you want to enjoy like a fucking 25-year-old Matrix spoof.
That's what I'm endorsing at the end of this show. Computer Boy.
I'm listening right now.
Yeah. He shows up. He's poorly ADR'd. He has like a bunch of like exposition dump.
Yeah, something was going on with this guy because he's a noticeably bad actor. I mean, this is like the cheap, silly movie or whatever. You know, like no one's doing fucking Chekhov here or anything. But like, yeah, this guy really stood out. His performance was not good.
I think it was just very poor ADR.
Yeah, I think that didn't help.
Yeah, like his mouth was like not moving in sync with anything that was going on. He's some government liaison. He has authority over the police chief. He's like one of those like butting head things. He's saying that
he's the guy that comes in and says, "This is my jurisdiction now."
Yeah, and like it's their job to make sure that Dimitri stays hidden. But then once he's exposed, he wants to take him out.
Right? Because did we mention that Dimitri has like collaborated with the Americans? I guess
with the British.
But this guy was American, right?
Dave Bautista was.
No, the Agent Cho.
Yeah.
Was he?
Had an American accent. So,
I mean, the voiceover guy they got for him was American.
Yeah, that's why I was confused.
Yeah.
As to what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, like the whole point is that now there's sort of like three forces working against them because the police obviously want to get everybody out of the stadium, but the FBI or whatever this government agency is all like
whatever.
The SAS are like
Russian, right?
No, they're like they're like UK SWAT.
Okay,
is what that is.
All right.
But like anyway, Agent Cho, they can't find out that Pierce Brosnan is alive and collaborating with them because that'll make them look bad. So they're actively trying to kill him before anyone finds out that he's alive.
Right.
Is what's happening there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he's American, maybe he's British,
yeah.
Maybe he's a third nationality. We don't know.
Yeah.
He's a very minor character.
We
spend a lot of time talking about him.
There's just a lot of like tension between him and the police chief that culminates in a part where he says like there's more things important here than a stupid fucking soccer stadium, to which the police chief responds by punching him out and saying, "It's football."
That's great. I did like this guy. We forgot to mention like the police chief is introduced when he gets a phone call in the middle of like a boring cello recital with a bunch of like stuffy Brits, and his emergency phone gets off, and there's this one amazing extra who's just like, "Oh, I say, that is just most irregular." Fine, Jove, I never.
There was a full harumph.
Yeah.
From start to finish. Harumph.
It was a stereotype for sure, but it brought a smile to my face. So yeah, he gets pulled away from the recital, and he's just walking around in his tux all movie, which is probably what invited a lot of those James Bond comparisons to me.
Yeah, I mean, like this is like the Die Hard analog. It reminded me a lot of the similar character from No Contest, because that happens almost verbatim in that movie as well too. But of course it would, because it's following the beats from the more popular movie that everyone has seen.
Yeah, so the terrorists, through like facial tracking stuff, like find out about Bautista and found that he was there with a 15-year-old girl. So they track down who she is by like, I don't know, like checking out her criminal record, because the terrorists are using some manner of like facial recognition software to like identify people.
Well, they have a tech guy.
They have a tech guy.
Which means that any problem they run into will be solved by technology.
It'll be explained.
Computers.
and so they call it the radio. Like little girl, come to gate whatever.
They say it just like that too. Little girl, come to gate 8. If your name is Little Girl.
Yeah.
I love all the accent work in this too.
Yeah.
It's all like they answer the questions all like, how do you get away with doing like a not so great accent? Do an accent from a country that does not exist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in Russia. Yeah.
But if everyone's Russian accent, including like the 2 UK citizens that they got to play Russian people, like, don't worry about it. We planned that. That's intentional. I
guess I shouldn't say accent. It's more like a regional dialect.
Yeah.
You can tell who's from Sokovia.
If Elizabeth Olsen can get away with having a Sokovian accent graduating into her normal voice
for exactly one movie,
then I think we can give this movie a pass.
All right.
She does like a weird thing where like that accent comes in and out based on like how mad she is.
Kind of like this movie.
Yeah,
that's where she got the inspiration of. She saw Final Score.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's just the Sokovian accent, where it's every accent kind of just intermingled into one, from one sentence to the next.
Yeah.
I saw that recent interview with Elizabeth Olsen. I don't think she watches movies like this. I think she has better taste.
Better taste than that. Well, her loss. So Faisal catches up with the daughter, and they meet up with Dave Bautista, and they try to hatch a plan to get her to the roof, but that goes tits up. Forget exactly how.
Yeah, Faisal is in the middle of the stadium, and he's looking around for her, and he sees her, so he makes a hard left from the position where he currently is, and he goes straight to her. So you might say that Faisal goes west.
Oh, boo!
That was a long walk for that joke. That was a long walk, but you know what? I think it was worth it. I think it'll go down in history.
Okay.
Moving on.
Fantastic.
Unsubscribe.
I mean, there's so many more awesome things that happened that you have to ruin it with things like that. Dave Bautista clotheslines a guy as he's running towards her.
Yes, the terrorists basically call the cops, the stadium cops, on Dave Bautista.
They've compromised the chief of police, or not the chief of police, the
head of security.
Head of security there. So like he's like, tell your men to apprehend Dave Bautista. So he tells his men to do that. And at one point, we're just like, oh, come on, Bautista, like, tap him to the ground. Come on. You didn't do it. And then a second later, he clotheslines the dude, and it's awesome looking.
Can I just say, like, the chief of security, like, he makes the call to, like, apprehend Dave Bautista. He probably didn't need to bother, because at that point, Bautista is running onto the side of the field, and he is screaming at the top of his lungs, and he is covered in blood. I'm pretty sure the security would tackle him regardless at that point. You don't need to make that call.
He's clambering down the scaffolding of the stadium like he's fucking Spider-Man. Like swinging on banners and everything. He's what an action hero, this guy.
And yet we only see stadium security for that one scene. They're gone for the rest of the movie.
Bautista takes all of them out. They all collectively were just all like, oh, leave that guy alone.
You would think
I'm not paying enough for this.
Fully incapacitated.
You would think the actual fans, like, they would just go, it would be descending into absolute anarchy without, like security around
One of many things that happens in this movie that would stop any other game dead in its tracks. But no, this game has to continue.
No, we have to keep playing because half the stadium's on fire. So if we don't finish this up soon, we're going to lose a huge
the stadium is going to burn down. It's going to have nothing to do with the terrorists. It's just going to be the fans in the Sokovia section with their fucking flares.
Yeah, why do they let them bring that in?
And you were mentioning how annoying it must be for like someone who bought their ticket is sitting directly behind one of those things. Oh, I got amazing seats. This is going to be a great game. Oh, fuck. Everything's on fire now. All I can see is fire.
I cannot see. I cannot breathe.
You know what's great? We can do the worst possible Russian accent, and it's still Sokovian.
We're talking about my Sokovian accent is dead perfect.
We're going to blend right in. We can infiltrate this freedom movement. So, Dave Bautista finds out who Dimitri is through like some outside help, so he tracks down Pierce Brosnan, It says, like, you're coming with me, and then...
Pierce Brosnan says, sure.
Yeah,
he says, I'm not missing this game for anything.
And he points a gun at him, and that's the only time he's not agreeable.
Yeah.
and then after he points a gun at him, from that point on, Pierce Brosnan's attitude throughout this entire movie is like, all right.
Yeah, he is evading so much gunfire, and he is handling it like a champ.
Dave Bautista loses his gun, like, a full minute, like, after he abducts Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan, like, just goes with it. He's like, whatever. Gun or no gun. I am with you till the end, Dave Bautista.
God, I loved him in this, and he was probably thinking this is, like, the easiest fucking paycheck. He had one monologue, and then he has, like, no lines for, like, 5 extended action sequences.
It's a great monologue.
All right, it's time
to jump right to that.
We gotta talk about Pierce Brosnan and his chickens.
When I was a child, my father had chickens. Kept many chickens. There was one I loved. I called her One-Eyed Clara. She was the runt. I have a soft spot for the underdog.
His pet chicken, growing up in Sokovia, I had a one-eyed chicken. And she was my best friend, and I loved her very much. And then one day, my father chained her to a tree, and the fox ate her, because he must catch the fox. And you see how my story relates to what's going on with you.
I understood then that someday you must make sacrifice, and...
Bautista, to his credit, immediately goes, that's a stupid fucking story.
Yeah, I lost some war buddies that were under my command. My story's sadder.
Pierce Brosnan goes, I don't see how this relates to my chicken.
Yeah, back to my chicken.
What I found fascinating is that this was in the context of Ray Stevenson has a gun to Dave Bautista's niece in this moment, saying, if you don't bring him, I'll shoot her. And Dave Bautista says, well, I'm going to shoot your brother then. And then Pierce Brosnan gives this whole story about how, like, you have to sacrifice what you love for the greater good. He's basically telling Dave Bautista to shoot him.
Yeah.
He's like, my life is nothing to this little girl I haven't actually met yet.
Is he telling Dave Bautista to shoot him, or that he should let his niece die?
I don't know.
We're all stumped. We're all stumped on that one. Because it's hard to get a read on Pierce Brosnan's sort of loyalties, because like he escaped Sokovia and he faked his own death because he saw Ray Stevenson was getting too extreme and the revolution was going off of the rails or whatever. So he kind of reads as the more sort of peaceful of the two brothers.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell because there's so little Pierce Brosnan in this. Yeah, this really was an easy weekend for Pierce.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do much.
Yeah, you know this one character who has like maybe one monologue about chickens? Yeah, we got Pierce Brosnan for that part.
Yeah.
Like, oh. Do you want to maybe beef up this role a little bit? Nah.
I don't want to run. That's the one thing. That's the one thing I would like. I would like to move very slowly.
And I barely want to act.
Do you have a Russian accent? Yes, it's very bad. Perfect, you're in.
Welcome to Final Score. So, there's like, I don't know what that scene is called, where like they do like the prisoner exchange.
That's called Bridge of Spies.
Okay, is it really?
No, but that's what happens in the movie Bridge of Spies.
Okay, yeah. So they do that in the most convenient of places, the roof of the stadium. The daughter has like this moment where she's like, oh, I understand like the meaning of sacrifice and protecting the lives of the innocent.
It's a good thing that my dad died.
Yeah. I came to terms with that.
That's my character arc.
Yeah. Like 15 minutes ago, my asshole boyfriend was like being really persistent with me. And in that moment, I started evading gunfire, and now I understand the value of protecting the innocent. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
But they make the prisoner exchange. Oh, but it's an old switcheroo because Dave Bautista has put a hat on.
And there's a blinding light, so like, what's that massive silhouette of a man coming our way? Is that Pierce Brosnan?
It must be Pierce Brosnan. My brother looks twice the size that he normally is.
I knew he had facial reconstruction, but yeesh.
Dimitri, you have been hitting the gym, my friend.
He is fully eclipsing, like full-on solar eclipse of this spotlight.
Blocking out the spotlight, yeah. And then there's a fight between... Oh, we didn't even mention this. there's a fight between Bautista and the mini-boss, who is actually the girlfriend.
Tatiana.
Tatiana, the girlfriend of, like, the big muscleoid Vlad guy.
When they were having sex, do you think she called him Vlad the Impaler?
I mean, she did get impaled.
She got impaled later, but she got the impaling she wanted.
Yeah. They had an interesting...
Talking about Vlad's penis.
Yeah. They had an interesting dynamic as the terrorists are setting up in the stadium and breaking in. She pulls a gun on Vlad as they're making out and says, "Don't let your passions blind you."
Don't let your passion blind you.
That's one of those. That's their form of foreplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gets my motor running.
Get the guns out, get the knives out, biting the lip really. She bites his lip really hard. She pulls that thing off like it's fucking Laffy Taffy.
Oh yeah.
He's into it.
They're into some kinky shit. Yeah. Anyway, she gets impaled by falling off a building onto a pike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After Dave Bautista has swung Tarzan-like from a big banner and crashes into the scoreboard, and of course, the game continues.
Yeah.
From this point on, nothing will stop the game!
I mean, that's just the playoffs, man. The refs put the whistles away and just game on, man.
And she kind of teleports down. He has a very hard time getting down, but she's
just automatically there.
She found the stairs.
He went the faster way. She went the responsible way. Yeah. So they have a big tussle, and then what's his name? Arcady. Yeah. He goes on the big.
He's Arcade. He's the classic X-Men villain, Arcade. He's going to trap everyone in the stadium into a carnival game. What was Arcade's thing? Like death games. He was like Jigsaw.
I was thinking of Arcade, that movie that we watched.
Even worse somehow.
So
he was a computer this entire time.
So Arcady goes on the jumbotron. He's got the daughter at gunpoint, and he says like "Long live the Sokovia," and blows up the control booth because the clock strikes 90, and blows up the entire stadium. Which, even though it's all done through digital practical effects, it still looked okay. It's no The Dark Knight Rises when they blew up that stadium, but
we're missing a very important part.
Oh?
When Faisal saves the day.
Oh no!
Yeah,
his hero moments.
Yeah.
You set this up.
All right, great. I'm so excited to be the one to set this up. So, Dave Bautista knows that the stadium is about to explode, so he's like, "Faisal, this is your moment. You've got to clear everyone out." And so
it's just what we should clarify. It's just one section of the bleachers that has all the C4 underneath it. Yeah. Obviously, there's no way to evacuate the entirety of the stadium, but it's from rows C to H or whatever is what he's had to clarify.
Yeah. So he is tasked with clearing out this section of the stadium, and he tries to shout at them, saying, "You've got to leave! You've got to leave!"
Boo! Down in front.
Yes, all of that.
Worse things than that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, as we mentioned earlier, Faisal is Pakistani, and so he decides to go with the old cliche and yells out, "Allahu Akbar," and that clears out the stadium because there's nothing more threatening.
Immediately to a comical effect, a searing indictment of UK racism towards people of Indian ethnicity.
Yeah.
It's somehow on the nose and completely ridiculous at the same time.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's all like, I want to believe that wouldn't happen, but that probably might happen.
Yeah. All this leads to now are a shit ton of witnesses that saw him yell out Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
And then the stadium blew up.
Yeah. Faisal triumphantly walks away from the end of this movie with his life, but he may.
He's for sure going to Guantanamo.
Yeah.
100% going to Guantanamo.
Well, maybe.
Oh, but no one was recording him because everyone's phones were off. Oh, no, wait, but I guess their video would still work.
They just couldn't call out.
Yeah. Yeah, Faisal's going to Guantanamo. Yeah, he's on his way.
Maybe that old racist woman that he shielded from the blast will vouch for him.
If there's one category that people believe less than minorities, it's old people. So that's not going to work.
Yeah, I was wrong about you. You're one of the good ones.
And Faisal was like, "Great, that's my character arc. There we go.
All right,
pretty tidy. Everyone's enjoying this movie, I think. Yes, yeah, great.
Thanks, writers." So the recording booth blows up, but Dave Bautista notices that it's a pre-recorded message because he notices the shot clock in the reflection of the video, so he knows it was pre-recorded, and they just happen to be on the lower level, trying to escape with everyone else fleeing the stadium. And, he guns him down. He guns down Arcady.
No, they do the callback first.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because in the very beginning, the niece headbutts Dave Bautista in the face, and they make some comment about how she uses her head because she's smart, because that is...
what her dad taught her.
Yeah.
We should clarify, he was sneaking up on her at the time. He was doing the thing, was all like, haha, I got you, and then she headbutted him in the face before realizing that it was her uncle that she loved. She didn't just headbutt him in the face for no particular reason. Although she might, because she seems like a bit of a loose cannon with a criminal record. So, bit of a rotter.
Oh, God.
Bit of a rapscallion.
Is that
bruv?
That's that Sarkovian accent again.
Term from old country. So yeah, she headbutts Arcady in the head. And
it's game over for Arcady.
Mm-hmm.
Final score, 0-0.
Terrorists lose. Even though they were successful in blowing up the stadium.
That is the thing about the title final score. It doesn't work terribly well as like a kill line or anything, you know. It's like you can't really like shoot someone and then go like final score, because it doesn't really like make sense unless you add a final score like you did, Danny. You just added like 0-0 there, yeah.
Although it was 2-1, we made a point to check. The soccer game ends 2-1 for West Ham against the terrorists.
Are they going to let that stand?
Yeah, I don't know.
They probably need to like restart the game.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily if that counts as a win. I feel like the game might be called on account of terrorism.
I'm pretty sure the explosions go off at the end of the game. I mean, they organized it that way for a reason. They wanted to see how the game ended, so they allowed it to finish. It ends at the 90-minute mark. The game's done.
They had money riding on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, we're going to kill all these people, but you know, we'll let the football game finish because we're not monsters.
We are fans.
I mean, we're monsters.
We're
fans
not
first.
monsters.
We're fans first, terrorists second.
Yeah.
Brothers third.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the mom happens to break through the barricade as thousands of people are fleeing the stadium.
No, madam, you're going the wrong way. No, madam, we're letting people out.
Let me through. My daughter's in there. Like a lot of people's daughters are in there.
We need less people in there. We can't send people the other way. No.
Yeah. And then that's the movie pretty
much.
much.
We forgot to mention Pierce Brosnan shoots himself in the head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Ray Stevenson gets a hold of him finally, and he's all like, I have the
we're going to restart the revolution.
Yeah, I have the live feed set up, and everyone in Sokovia is standing in the market square, and they're waiting for this, because nothing else is going on a Friday night in Sokovia. They have to, I imagine some of them might be watching the football game.
Probably. I mean, it was as Sarkovia was playing.
It's a big game for them as well, too. But apparently all of Sokovia is not watching the football game. They are waiting maybe they're watching the football game standing up. Maybe there are no chairs in Sokovia. The revolution was hard on all of us. We lost all the chairs.
No, I mean, like for big like playoff series like that. They'll have like the live feed of like the fans outside.
Oh, I remember the Stanley Cup riots, my friend. I remember that.
They've done that since then, you know. And like other cities do public screenings for their teams. And I said for playoff games, not riots.
I know. That's the last time I remember it. But rather than because Ray Stevenson wants Pierce Brosnan to prove he's still hardcore or whatever, he hands him a gun
and he says, "Shoot, little girl."
Yeah, shoot, little girl. That is her name. and Pierce Brosnan is all like, "What
if the revolution can't persist without me?" And I can't live without my chickens.
Yeah. I never got over Clara, the one-eyed chicken, and he shoots himself in the mouth. And then Ray Stevenson's all like, fuck it, I'm going to blow everyone up.
Yeah.
The real one-eyed chicken was inside him all along.
Pierce Brosnan faked his death. Who's to say that the chicken isn't living under an assumed identity in a farm upstate?
He's got a glass eye. How would you tell?
That's how you can tell. This chicken walks by. It's all like, I don't know you. You're just spare chicken. Yeah. Chicken pops the eye out. It's like, my friend.
You just walk up to any random chicken in the countryside and be like, one-eyed Clara. I'm staying to watch the game.
And then, is there anything else we want to talk about? Anything else we didn't mention?
I mean, I think we're underselling just how fucking badass a lot of the fights and action scenes are in this movie. We kind of glossed over the whole motorcycle chase and how he just happened to come across like 4 motorcycles in the stadium. Why the fuck do they have so many motorcycles?
And why are they in an unlocked room that anyone can access?
Yeah, the keys are right there.
Yeah, I love how in real time, Faisal is like on the radio with Dave Bautista, like radioing him, like, okay, go left, go up, as if there's like an actual GPS screen tracking their movements. No, he's looking at a 1-floor map and telling him to go left, go right.
Oh, I didn't even realize he was looking at a map. I thought he just knew the stadium really well because he's good at his job.
And he can predict like how fast they're going and where he should be at that precise moment. And like when to pick up a fire extinguisher and bash someone with it on a
he goes full Rain Man on this. He's just like, yes, now 300 meters next.
Yeah.
And then turn left. No, your other left.
I was confused for a second. I was trying to remember the part of Rain Man where Dustin Hoffman beams someone with a fucking fire extinguisher and he goes around and around in slow motion. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool moment. Two things I wanted to talk about. Sorry, Danny.
I was just going to say that was Rain Man 2.
That was Rain Man 2.
Dustin Hoffman and Dave Bautista team up.
Yeah.
I'd watch it.
I'd watch it.
Yeah. Two things I wanted to talk about. One, Ray Stevenson is threatening the head of security because he's got photos of his family, and he makes a point of saying, like, these are the clothes that they were wearing this morning, so these photos were taken today. If they were Polaroids, I think that would make sense. These are like, these photos look worn, and they're obviously like
professional grade.
Like it's like, okay, when did they have time to develop these photos?
They went to like one of those like 1-hour photo booth things.
It's just one of those. I mean, it must have been 1 hour. Hey, it says 1 hour, so you know it doesn't take very long. I don't know. That was just like one of those little like production detail things. It's like no one thought about this. It's like they should be like cheap Polaroids. And the other thing is, there's a scene where Bautista and Faisal are hiding out in a room full of phones, and Bautista has a walkie-talkie. And he peels the back off of it, and he starts, like, twisting things around with his knife.
He can find a police frequency?
Yeah, and Faisal says, what are you doing? He says, like, I'm trying to get, like, a police frequency. So, like, how do you know how to do that? And he says, I saw someone do it in a movie. It's like, screenwriters, he's, like...
Special ops.
He's a special ops army guy. Like, it would make perfect sense for this guy to have that set of skills. Don't give him a dumb reason that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then, especially if it ends up working and that's his main method of communication throughout the movie. I don't know. I just thought that line kind of stood off as a hoary screenplay cliche.
Yeah.
You know, he can just know how to do that.
Well, I expect if Faisal asked him what he did for a living, he'd tell me he was a janitor. So, for a full Bushwick reference, no one listening to this is going to get
reference to that. I'm going to cut in that part of the episode where you make that true. No, that would mean I would have to listen to the full Bushwick episode again. I'm not doing that.
You're not doing that to your
I've done that a couple of times.
Oh, boy. You know what's funny? Thinking about this movie, it's hard for me not to like imagine like comparing it to Bushwick. It's kind of like Zack Snyder's Justice League is pretty good, but compared to like the Joss Whedon theatrical one, it's a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
Comparing the two of them, final score is an amazing fucking movie compared to Bushwick.
I mean,
I don't know if it's like as good a movie as I'm thinking it is, or I'm just looking at it through in the context of compared to Bushwick. I had a much better time watching this.
Look, we all sat down to watch this movie together, and we were all like, "All right, this will probably be more fun. This is like some dumb like Die Hard action cheese fest or whatever." We start the movie. Russian war zone. And we're all like, oh no!
Fuck.
We're back in Bushwick!
We tried to get away from the political shit.
How do we keep ending up in Bushwick? Alright. Jameson, was there anything we haven't mentioned that you wanted to talk about?
Did I write something down? I don't know. Let's see.
Let's keep this in.
Yeah, we usually cut this. No, just like more examples of Bautista, like putting down soccer, like. So what do we yell out at these things? Kick the ball straight, fall down better, like just like, dude. We get it. You don't like soccer, but like on you're taking her out because like you know she likes soccer. Can you at least like put a lid on it for a little bit for her sake?
It's my one character development. This is the only thing you know. I hate
soccer.
I hate soccer.
Decking security guards.
And I'm tortured, and I have a tortured past.
Yeah.
She's like fully just clearly sad about her dead father, and he's just shitting on the thing she loves.
Yeah,
and then he's surprised that she runs away from him.
And then, the thing that she and him bonded over the most and, like, doing the most together, and he fucking, like, bad-mouthing soccer the entire time, like... No wonder the mom's saying, like, you don't have to keep doing this. Like, she really doesn't like having you around. You're a bit of a buzzkill.
All right, well, I think we've gone long enough, and I have a feeling I know the answer to this question. But Danny Jameson, does Final Score have a certain something, or is it just a whole lot of nothing?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great fun. Maybe like Jameson, I'm comparing it back to Bushwick, and just in relative terms, it's amazing. But, like, the action scenes were great. I loved that they showed Vlad's face post deep fryer. Like, that was cool. And the story was based on a formula that's been done, but it's tried and true. Like, it was a good action flick. I did not feel bored at any point. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I think, like, following something like this, which is trying to follow the Die Hard formula, you're going to notice a lot of those tropes and cliches. This movie didn't have as much of, like, the swagger that Die Hard does, like, sort of the tongue-in-cheekness of it. This was playing a little bit more straight. But there was still, like, a lot of really exciting action sequences, and there was still enough material there for us to just laugh at the absurdity of some stuff. So yeah, this has definitely got some stuff. This is something I like. This
I agree. I think it's certain some things all across the board. I think in terms of the Die Hard ripoffs that we have watched, it's not as good as No Contest, but it's you know what? It was the perfect afternoon hangover movie to put on with some friends. We had some laughs. There was some creative gore. There's some stupid CGI head wounds, but at this point you kind of just have to accept that.
Pierce Brosnan has a monologue about a chicken.
I mean, what more could you want? What more could you want from any movie?
Yeah. The perfect movie.
Yeah. So this is definitely worth a watch. You can check this out on Tubi. We have, of course, spoiled the entire movie for you, but maybe there's something that we forgot to talk about. And
just check it out for yourself.
Check it out for yourself.
The fight scenes are great.
Yeah. Danny, thank you for coming back.
Thanks,
again. Thank you for doing this and for re-recording this.
Sure.
We appreciated it. We loved having you come back. Literally anytime. You can pick the actor next time. We won't have to force you into a box necessarily. Do you have anything you want to recommend people? What was that YouTube? What's that YouTube?
Computer Boy.
So, Computer Boy.
Let's spend a full 5 minutes on Computer Boy. I have no idea what this is, by the way.
Really?
I've never heard of this.
Computer Boy is something, I don't know if it came out when I was in high school, so this would have been...
It came out when we were in high school.
Well, I don't know if it came out before that and we just discovered it in high school, but this would have been from the early 2000s.
Did YouTube exist when you guys were in high school?
No. This was pre... Yeah, and I don't even remember where we were watching.
World or something?
Probably, or something awful.
I don't remember where we found it. Anyway, it's a Matrix parody, and it's just very silly and stupid, and it's kind of like a bunch of high school students got together to do a Matrix ripoff, and me and my high school buddies, Jameson included, were doing something similar at the time, and so, I don't know, it was simple fun, very stupid, probably does not stand the test of time with regards to political correctness. Perhaps you might have caught on to that from the reference that we made to it earlier. But, like, I don't know, just...
Oh, God, I remember one of my...
Are you just remembering...
I remember that, like, one of the funnier ones was, like, I guess when they made this, they didn't have a black friend, so Morpheus was a white guy.
Okay, thank God. I was holding my breath for you to finish that sentence. Could have gone much worse.
Okay, and so when Neo in this movie first meets Morpheus, his reaction is, "Whoa, just like Michael Jackson."
Okay, that's funny.
That's pretty good.
A bit of lie guy and turned into a white person.
Pretty good. Yeah.
All right, so check out Computer Boy. It's across the board recommendation for all of us. I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah, you might want to see it before you recommend it.
Nope, blind recommendation. And you know what? I'm not going to watch it either.
Hell,
I'm standing behind it.
They might have scrubbed it from the internet. I haven't thought of that in years.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, that was Final Score, directed by Scott Mann from Saban.
Not a Scott Mann.
Scott Mann. From Saban Films and The Fizz Facility.
Yeah. Whatever the fuck that is.
Whatever the fuck that is. If you enjoyed this episode, please listen to our back catalog of our other episodes under the title of The Fuck Is This? They're all there on whatever platform you're listening this 2. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow us on all the social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's all of them, right?
Yeah.
TikTok, we're not on there yet.
No. LinkedIn.
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 We need to get our LinkedIn page updated.
MySpace.
Of course, Grindr.
Yeah. Geosites.
Yeah, exactly. We'd like to thank Eddie Lamb for our theme music. We'll thank Joel Flynn and Luke Schuss from Podstream Studios. Even though we're not there today, we just like them and they're cool guys.
We're going to use some of the audio, though.
Sorry, this is sort of like a half episode for that. Tune in next time for our episode on Legendary, starring John Cena, an episode we have already recorded. And that's that. I'm Kaz.
Yes, you are. Oh, and I'm Jameson.
I'm here too.
Yeah, that's Danny.
And I was gonna end with, what does the fucking woman say? Don't let your passions... Don't let your passions blind you. Don't let your passion blind you, everyone. I fucked that up, so I'll do another one. Ditch the Hulk.
Gosh.
Ditch the Hulk, everyone.
Yeah, they call Dave Bautista the Hulk. All right.
Because Marvel.
That's right. And this takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Where does this go in the timeline order?
Before Age of Ultron.
Before Age of Ultron, obviously.
Yeah. But weirdly, after Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, the timeline's like all fucked up now.
Just whatever period Drax was on Earth, that's when this takes place.
Yeah. All
right, thanks for listening. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
That's our sound check.
That's our sound check right there.
From here on out.